Hi everyone, I can see some people joining us. That's great to see. We'll start in a few minutes just while we wait for everyone to join, and then we'll start as soon as possible. But it's good to see people coming in. Recognize a few names from communications before, a few new names. In the meantime, please feel free to use the chat function just to let us know where you're joining us from. Maybe tell us what industry you work in, or what law firm you're based at. Anything like that would be really great to see. We've got a really diverse range of people joining us today, so let us know maybe what country you're joining us from as well. It'd be great to get an understanding of who is joining us today. Okay, so I think most people have joined by now. There'll probably be a few more joining us later. So we can make a start. So a big welcome, everyone, to today's webinar. It's great to see so many people joining us and a real diverse range of people. Feel free to use the chat function to let us know where you're joining us from, what industry you work in, maybe what job you do currently. That would be great to see. There's also a Q&A function that you can use. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, you can use that to ask any questions about some of the topics we discussed today, and feel free to use that. So my name is James, and I am the course advisor for the University of Manchester's online LLM in International Commercial and Technology Law. So it's my role to help people with their applications to this course. So if you have any interest in studying an LLM with the University of Manchester, we have this great online opportunity for you, and you can see my contact details in the presentation at the bottom of the slide there. Is studyonline@manchester.ac.uk, and you can use that to contact me if you have any interest in completing that LLM with us. I'll tell you a little bit more about that course at the end of the presentation, but before that we'll have some discussions with our panelists today. And we have a really great selection of panelists joining us today. I'll give a quick introduction of them, and then they'll be able to tell you a little bit more about themselves and some of the expertise that they focus on. So first of all, we've got Dr. Joseph Lee, who is a reader in law at the University of Manchester, and he is also the course director of our online LLM in International Commercial and Technology Law. So he is a great resource to ask any questions that you have about that online LLM, and he'll be more than happy to discuss that with you. We're also joined by Fran Eccles-Bech, who is the Chief Executive of the Manchester Law Society. So Fran has a wealth of experience in building up the Law Society here in Manchester, and it's become one of the biggest of its kind in the UK. And she runs a range of events for members and non-members. And it's great to have you joining us today to tell us a little bit more about the legal scene in Manchester. We also have Raul Mazzarella, who is an associate at Carey in Santiago, Chile, and he focuses on corporate law with a speciality in regulations in telecommunications, media, and the technology industry. So it's great to have you here with us as well, Raul. We also have Jimmy Jin, who is a senior associate at Clifford Chance, based out in Hong Kong. And Jimmy's focuses on corporate practice, private and public M&A, takeovers, and capital market transactions. And finally, we have Alexandre Gleria, who is the Director of Innovation and Tech at ESGs in Brazil. And Alexandre's legal expertise covers a range of areas in energy, payment methods, estate planning, and tax law. So it's great to have all of you joining us today, and we're really looking forward to hearing some of your expertise in your areas. A quick rundown of what we're going to look at today in our webinar. So Raul will start us off with his presentation on crypto asset law in Chile, and that will be followed by Alexandre and his talk on LawTechs and ESGs. And Jimmy Jin will then talk a little bit more about the skill sets required in LawTechs. and Fran will then follow up with a talk on LawTech development in the Manchester legal community. We'll open it up to questions as well, so you can use the Q&A function to ask any questions that you have based on some of these topics. And then I will finish off with a quick introduction to our online LLM in International Commercial and Technology Law that you can study here with the University of Manchester. So I think that pretty much covers everything. So I'll hand over to Raul now, who will give his talk on crypto asset law in Chile.
Thank you, James. I'm going to share a quick presentation that I have. So give me please 1 second to see if it works. Can you see it? Okay. Perfect. First of all, hi everyone. Thanks to Dr. Joseph Lee and James Wood for the invitation and organization of this webinar. Let me introduce myself really quickly. We don't have much time. So my name is Raul Mazzarella. I am a lawyer. I have an LLM degree from Columbia University in New York. Probably not the best degree to comment here on Manchester, but I have been working in the technology sector for almost 10 years. As you may notice by my accent, I'm not from Italy. I am from a very small country located at the end of the world, named Chile. You can see it there at the lower left part of your screen. I am here at Santiago of Chile. Sorry. And I am in this building right now. Can you see the arrow? I think you can. It's there. I am telling you this because one of the most important things about current technology is that it doesn't matter where you live in the world. We are all connected. Even small countries like Chile have the chance to be involved in new revolutionary technologies and have the chance to make an impact in the financial markets globally. This is because of innovation. For this reason, first of all, I want to briefly talk about the importance of innovative technologies. I think that I am still young, you know, I am 37 years old, but I remember the 90s when I was a child. So for one moment, let's go back to 1996. At that time, PCs used to look like this, and iPhones weren't even in its Steve Jobs' mind. At this point in time, you might think that everyone was on board of this new technology called the internet, but you are wrong. There were plenty of skeptics of this innovative technology, as you may see, for example. The internet doomed to fail over unfulfilled promises. Dennis Galeta, Washington Post, February 16, 1996. Internet may be just a passing fad as millions give up on it. James Chapman, Daily Mail, December 5, 2000. We all know how these predictions played out. Now everyone has internet in their pocket, right? Another very well-known example to demonstrate the power of innovation is the former retail movie shop, Blockbuster. Blockbuster CEO once passed up a chance to buy Netflix for only 50 million. We all know how this ended. The streaming services were starting to grow and only few people saw their potential. Blockbuster didn't. So Confucius, a famous Chinese philosopher, once said, "To define the future, one must study the past." The moral of the story is quite obvious. We must take innovation seriously. So let's talk about new innovative technologies that have the potential to revolutionize society. I am referring to AI and blockchain and cryptocurrency. New technologies present new challenges, new types of crimes, and new types of complications that need to be addressed by regulation. For example, regulation of AI has been claimed as urgently required by Elon Musk. So let's dig in blockchain and cryptocurrency. I know that not everyone knows about this, so I'm going to start from the beginning. What is blockchain and what are cryptocurrencies? We don't have much time, so I'm going to go right to the point. The main purpose of this technology is decentralization, to remove financial institutions or intermediaries from the equation. This is done through a shared immutable ledger that facilitates the process of recording transactions and tracking assets in a decentralized way. This is the blockchain. Finally, A cryptocurrency is a digital or virtual currency secured by cryptography. Sorry. Most cryptocurrencies exist on decentralized networks using blockchain technology. So let's talk briefly about advantages of this technology. In general, cryptocurrencies provide a decentralized, secure, and transparent method from transferring value with no intermediaries like banks in an almost immutable manner. This means that we have a cost-effective and faster way to make international transactions. Those of you who have used the SWIFT system for international transactions know that a transaction might take between 2 and 5 days and have a great cost. To the contrary, a Bitcoin transaction might take between 10 minutes and 1 hour. And at this time, a Bitcoin transaction has an average fee of $1. If you're worried about volatility in prices, some cryptocurrencies known as stablecoins offer a solution. Stablecoins are cryptocurrencies whose value is tied to another currency, commodity, or financial instrument. The most known are tied to the value of the US dollar, so one cryptocurrency will be equivalent to $1. The most famous are USDC and Tether. The original intention of Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin, was to generate an alternative means of payment. And you can use cryptocurrencies for this purpose if you want. For example, you might go and buy a Ferrari with cryptocurrency. I know that many of you are now thinking of buying a Ferrari with Bitcoin. For some, cryptocurrencies are regarded as a way of making the financial market more global and democratic. This is because of several reasons. I'm going to just name a few: accessibility, transparency, global and no border nature, medium of investment with less requirements than securities, censorship resistant, and for some, it will create a new decentralized internet based on blockchain that is named Web3. So let's talk briefly about disadvantages now. Like any other monetary system, cryptocurrencies are being used to commit crimes, of course. Additionally, corrupt exchanges may use users' funds to their own purpose and may move the markets willingly to manipulate them, or may also be subject to hacks due to lack of security features. Recent FTX crypto exchange collapse in the US is proof of that. So let's go to regulation. As a general approach, several professors, including Dr. Joseph Lee, who, by the way, has an amazing book on this topic if you want to read it, state that the objectives of the crypto market must be precisely defined in order to generate appropriate laws and regulations. However, for time limitations, I will divide this matter into 5 topics, comparing the US status on the matter and the Chilean status on the matter. Why the US and Chile? Chileans took a stance and have recently regulated cryptocurrencies in a way that is generally totally the opposite of the US. The topics I will discuss are legal nature, crypto exchanges control, stable coins regulations, anti-money laundering regulations, and legal certainty or uncertainty. Let's go to the US. The SEC stance. The Securities and Exchange Commission of the SEC is a US government oversight agency responsible for regulating the securities markets and protecting its investors. In the picture, you can see SEC Chairman Gary Gensler. The SEC is pushing current regulations to cryptocurrencies. Gensler stated that everything other than Bitcoin is a security. The interesting thing here is that Gensler recognized Bitcoin and only Bitcoin as a commodity, among other reasons for its totally decentralized network. Gensler also stated that nothing about the crypto markets is incompatible with the securities laws. Regarding crypto exchanges, Gensler has taken the public position that crypto platforms are, in effect, security exchanges, and their activity falls under the sole purview of the SEC. According to Gensler, crypto markets suffer from lack of regulatory compliance, not a lack of regulatory clarity. Sorry about that. Regarding stablecoins, he has claimed that algorithmic stablecoins, a subtype of stablecoin, are securities. The SEC also has publicly supported application of AML measures using existing laws like the Bank Secrecy Act or the Patriot Act, jointly with the Department of Justice. The CFTC stance. The Commodity Futures Trading Commission is an independent US government agency that regulates the US derivative markets, including futures, options, and swaps. In the picture, you can see CFTC Chairman Rustin Benham. The CFTC is also pushing formal regulations to cryptocurrencies. Benham stated that I believe that they are a commodity, referring to Ether and stablecoins. To no one's surprise, Benham stated that because they are listed on CFTC exchanges, we do have a regulatory relationship over crypto exchanges, he means. The CFTC has also publicly supported the application of AML measures using existing laws like the ones mentioned before, jointly with the Department of Justice. Gensler of the SEC has taken effective action with his stance. As an example, US SEC sued Kraken Crypto Exchange and Binance Crypto Exchange for securities violations. Benham from the CFTC has also taken effective action with his stance. As an example, they charge Binance and its founder with willful evasion of federal law and operating an illegal digital asset derivatives exchange. Of course, the Department of Justice also went against Binance. As a consequence, CC, the founder of Binance, ended up pleading guilty to AML violations. This deal ends investigations by the Department of Justice and the CFTC into Binance, but Binance could still face penalties from the SEC. To finalize, the current US policy appears to be a regulation by litigation, with two different agencies fighting over who is able to sue more crypto exchanges. That hard stance, according to some sources, is pushing American exchanges offshore, creating uncertainty, killing innovation, and possible new investments. So let's go to Chile now. Cryptocurrencies and exchanges are fully regulated by the recent fintech law, dated January 4th, 2023, initiated by a bill of law of former President Sebastián Piñera. I am ending here. I know that we don't have much time. The fintech law is based on the principles of financial inclusion and innovation and promotion of competition. The fintech law, instead of trying to push formal regulations to crypto assets like the US, creates a new category of assets, virtual financial assets or crypto assets, that are also considered financial instruments. In practical terms, the fintech law classified crypto assets in two categories: stablecoins and other cryptocurrencies. Crypto exchanges are fully regulated and under the inspection authorities of the Comisión para el Mercado Financiero, or CMF, the equivalent to the US SEC, as holders and custodians of financial instruments. Therefore, cryptocurrencies and crypto exchanges share with securities the same regulator, the CMF, but with a different law that has a softer approach compared to the securities law, allowing innovation and competition to thrive. Exchanges need to register, have a monetary guarantee to respond to their clients for damages, and need to have a minimal capital to do so. Price manipulation, false information, and using users' funds improperly are conducts that are harshly punished by this law. Stablecoins are legal, shall be regulated by the Chilean Central Bank, and shall have two main uses: as a legal form of payment and as a foreign currency for effects of international foreign exchange operations. Of course, new technical regulations must be enacted to ensure liquidity of stablecoins, among other matters. My understanding is that the UK will issue a new stablecoin regulation in the near future, so it will be really interesting to see how the UK is going to handle this matter. Finally, the fintech law also enforces current AML rules to crypto exchanges. Although some regulations are still pending, the fintech law is a great step forward to regulate the cryptocurrencies and create regulatory certainty based on a neutral approach to technology. In my personal opinion, it hits a sweet spot between prevention of crime, market stability, investor and consumer protection, and innovation. It's important to note that no exchange has been sued in Chile by any governmental authority. Finally, some have stated that Chile is becoming a hub of financial technology due to the fintech law, among other reasons, of course. Some final thoughts. I'm ending here. Innovation will not stop, and in my opinion, we must not fight it. We must guide it to protect consumers, investors, and avoid crimes, but we should encourage innovation and creation of new products, services, and opportunities. In that way, society as a whole wins. Regarding cryptocurrencies, Mark Twain, a famous American writer, once said that history never repeats itself, but it does often rhyme. Some say that history may be very well rhyming again. As lawyers and regulators, in my opinion, we should let technology and the free market decide what is going to thrive and what is not. So a neutral regulatory approach to technology is extremely relevant, in my opinion. Regulation should not be an obstacle to innovation, but rather a guidance and an incentive. The recent EU, UK, and Chilean crypto regulations are going to face a big test in the coming years in this regard. Let's hope that they prove to be right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Raul, and thank you for a very interesting and quick overview of crypto assets law in Chile. And as we know that technologies are really changing the way we live, the way we work, and the way we relate to each other. And the crypto assets market is a space where we are interacting or will be interacting. Let's say, if we move on to a more digitized society and economies, such as Web3, and crypto assets, in terms of law, we need to know what they are. What are they? Are they properties, or are they personal claims? And the risks that pose to the market, to the economy, and to the society, as you rightly pointed out. Money laundering is also an issue in the crypto assets market. But then we shouldn't lose of innovation when we try to pass law or any modes of governance to regulate the market. On one hand, we need to think about what are the benefits of using crypto assets to connect and to collaborate and to interact with people from different parts of the world. For example, people in Chile, as an example. Yes. So thank you, Raul, and I'm sure that there will be some questions from the audience, and I'm sure that Ricardo here will have some questions for you at the end of this seminar. Yes.
Hi, Ricardo.
Although Ricardo is impersonating me, though, I can see it's just basically.
I am in Manchester, but I'm from Chile too.
Okay, so now thank you very much, Raul. Now we'll move on to our second speaker, Alexandre Gleria. Alex is a partner of one of the most innovative firm in Brazil, in São Paulo. And Alex is going to talk to us about how LawTech can help corporate ESG, environment, social, and governance. And I also had some exchanges with Alex before. Alex has also some very interesting LawTechs that developed in-house and by himself, and hopefully that Alex will be able to showcase to us, the benefits of using this LawTech in improving corporate ESG. Alex.
Hello, thank you, Joseph, for the introduction. My name is Alexandre Gleria. I'm a partner in ESGs. It's a law firm in Brazil. Well, I'm here since the first day of the firm, 2011. I grew up with the firm. And after developing here the tax department, we made a lot of good partners, and then I decided to make sort of a new projects, and one of my projects here is to, in 2021, we started a new area that focus on innovation and technology. And this new area, we are working with big tech firms. We are working with another engineers, mathematicians. We hired some internal people to develop things, and basically we have some very nice projects in developing hardware, software, platforms for legal service and so on. And basically, I think that before talking about these ESG projects, I think that is one of our philosophies here is to, I think the lawyers and the law practitioners as a whole, I think that they can contribute much more to the society, much more, and not seen just as some let's say boring profession, something that just by the book, just analyzing contracts and filling litigations and so on. So basically, I think that we have a lot of opportunities and not export fields to be seen in the law and legal professional. And one of, let's say, my favorite projects here at the firm that proves that is one project that we call the Corporate Behavior Code. That basically we create, like, after a lot of years that we spent in studying and researching, we saw that we can make a code of companies around the globe. We tested this like in US, in Brazil, in some companies in UK. And basically by coding the behavior of a company, of course, all based on public information, all based on complying with LGPD rules and so on. But basically, after we were able to code the behavior of corporations around the globe, we see that this methodology could present very reliable results to measure and to forecast, let's say, frauds, or to forecast a company that is going to present solid and perpetual results over the years. We can detect anomalies in companies that usually markets is not able to see. So we are in 2023, and we have a lot of corporate scandals, a lot of corruption, bribery news, and not only in Europe, in Brazil, but this is a global phenomenon. So basically, we concluded that starting from data that we can codify, looking to the litigation profile, to finance data that is available, to, let's say, corporate documents for public trade companies that are sent to the regulator, we can, let's say, map a lot of useful information, and this can tell us much more than the market is currently seeing about the companies. Just to give an example, based on this methodology, we built, we did a sort of regression calculation and simulation, and just based on this methodology, we built some portfolios, some stock portfolios, back to the last, let's say, 10 years. And we managed to beat all the markets benchmark as S&P 500, the Ibovespa, that is our major stock index here, just looking to our algorithm, to our code, not looking to any other metric that is usually used by the market. So in the end, of course, that we did a lot of other tests, but in the end, we can, let's say, just beat the markets, the major benchmarks, just using and just looking to, let's say, the quality of the companies. And this can tell us a lot in an area. We have seen a lot of strong demand on ESG measures, or ESG or a need for ESG investment, but this also can solve an issue that we of, let's say, our modern days, that we have a lot of demands on ESG stuff, but it lacks, let's say, there is not very solid studies linking ESG to future profitability, to or in other words, we are seeing that we did not see any sort of study or any sort of thing that can prove that ESG that there is a safe measure to see if a company indeed is sustainable or not. And just to conclude here, because I think that our time here is very, very short, and then I'm open to further questions. This methodology is also very interesting because it prevents, let's say, all the information to be manipulated or to be subject of fraud, because in the end we are one of our most reliable source of data is the legal matter of the company, and this is impossible to manipulate. So if a company is making some sort of aggression or wrongdoing for the environment, for the shareholders, and so on, this in the end could be turned to a legal matter, to a legal affair, and this is impossible to change, right? So, so that's why this methodology is also very, very interesting to measure a lot of things.
Thank you, Alex, and for this very interesting talks on the LawTech that's being developed. And we know that there is a purpose of this LawTech, that is to improve or to accelerate, corporate ESG. And, thanks for sharing with us in terms of the methodology of this application is a combination of legal knowledge, data, public data, such as legal data, and also the algorithms, a combination of the three that is able to develop this application. And I think that application will be useful not just for lawyers, but also for institutional investors, who have ESG investment mandates from their clients, and they ought to make their investment decisions according to the ESG ratings or benchmarks. So that kind of technology, that kind of LawTech can also help not just companies analyzing their own internal affairs, but also for external investors to monitor the investment world and to make investment decisions in accordance with their ESG mandate. Thank you, Alex, for introducing this LawTech, and hopefully that one day we will all have an opportunity to see how it works, and perhaps for our students to have access to their apps and to see they will be able to use that tech to analyze some of the corporate behaviors of some of the well-known one in Brazil or in any part of the world. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, we are, just a quick information. We are feeling like in 2 months, 2 patents in US, in Europe, in Brazil, and after that, we are very open to show all the codes and how it works. It will be very, very interesting to discuss this.
Yes, thank you, Alex. And hopefully that, if that app is proven to be successful, perhaps that can also be, tested in other markets. For example, in Europe or in the US or in Asia. And yes, and then we probably then need IP lawyers to help the developers to obtain patents in order for the application to be protected. Okay, so then now we move on to our next speaker, Jimmy Jean. And Jimmy is a good friend of mine and currently a senior associate at Clifford Chance, the global legal powerhouse. And Jimmy is going to talk to us about the skill sets required of lawyers when using legal tech, such as ChatGPT or LawGPT and the like. Jimmy. And the
Thank you,
title,
Joseph.
of his talk today is LawTech in Action, and the I have to get that. Yeah, LawTech in Action, a view from the trenches. Jimmy.
Thank you, Joseph, for the intro. So I'm a corporate lawyer in a corporate law office. I've been practicing law for many years in Hong Kong. I've also worked briefly with a couple of different LawTech startups during my MBA studies in the UK. So I thought I would offer a view from the trenches, from this perspective of a user of LawTech, which are available to us in international law firms. So very much like Raul and Alexandre, I'm very passionate about LawTech and legal tech. That's why I'm here. I'm sharing my thoughts with you, joining today. However, to offer this view from the trenches, my view is the pace of application of legal tech in private practices and law firms remains relatively slow. I don't know whether that's good news or bad news. It means the replacement of human lawyers like myself and many of the colleagues here is probably slow. But in terms of the progress of development of LawTech, may not be necessarily good news. So I'm going to start off by saying, the reality of legal practice is probably less glamorous than TV dramas shown in Suits and Partnership Track. So that illustrates, the things we actually do day in, day out in a law firm, right? So there are a couple of reasons for the slow development of LawTech. So first of all, as I touched upon, on an individual level, what lawyer does day in, day out is probably a bundle of skills. So, for example, we obviously, we do research, finding out the legal positions, from statutes and case law. We do lots of drafting. I'm a corporate lawyer, transaction lawyer, so I do lots of drafting of different types of documents in different languages. In Hong Kong, we deal with both documents in Chinese and English, and sometimes in Southeast Asian jurisdictions, different types, different languages. It's all about making choices of words and constructs from our firm's clause bank of very relevant precedents in the appropriate language, reflecting parties' intentions, right? So that's one thing we do as corporate lawyers. And also communications, advocacy. I'm not a barrister, I'm not an advocate, but we do sort of manifest our advocacy skills when explaining concepts to clients on calls, taking instructions, clarifying instructions with the client, and also we, of course, negotiate with our opposing counsel, and we persuade your counterparty into whatever position we propose. In addition, we do lots of review work. These are the analytical skills that law students get through studying degrees such as LLM with Manchester University. So we do, as we're all very familiar with, IRAC, the model for tackling hypotheticals, right? Issue spotting is actually a very important skill as lawyers. As you grow more senior, I think as a mid-level associate, senior associate, it comes back to, as a trainee, you do lots of dirty work. but I think as a mid-level associate, the fundamental analytical skill of issue spotting comes plays a very important role in our day-to-day job. And finally, project management for transaction lawyers, right? Managing the timetable of a deal of very tight timeline, or for litigators, managing a document production exercise, for us, due diligence exercise, or preparing closing agenda. This is a skill that university required of lots of professional services providers, lawyers, no different. We have to project manage our deals. So going backwards, I'm going to talk about the solutions available, maybe in the market online, for potentially tackling or helping us in the day-to-day practice and the degree of success of replacement or assistance. The low-hanging fruit is obviously project management, right? I'm sure you've seen the ad on YouTube, Monday.com and things like that. And also different law firms have rolled out different types of project management tools to handle that, to do better timetables, better sort of more interactive platforms for people to coordinate documents, better VDR management. So these are being transformed by LawTech in a very rapid fashion, because it's actually quite a universal demand, universal skill required. Going back to research, so I'm sure the attendees might have used ChatGPT for research tasks, right, for your personal interest or professionally. I always tell my trainee that do not rely on ChatGPT for research, especially because it is a large language model, right? That's the underlying technology. So based on a very superficial understanding of the technology, it's basically a probability machine for choosing words. It's not built for deductive reasoning, at least it's not specifically built for that purpose. Although some tests online I've seen have shown that ChatGPT does relatively well in imitating logical reasoning, but fundamentally it is a probability machine of for choosing the right words. So what I usually sort of tell my trainees is that you can use ChatGPT for perhaps a crash research for one topic which you're not very familiar with, and you can start your research based on the sources they've identified. Okay, when it comes to drafting, it's an interesting area. I think ChatGPT has sort of brought the cutting edge technology, which potentially may innovate in this area, because the language that ChatGPT spits out is perfect, right? Almost perfect, quite smooth, very fluent. So our drafting, legal drafting, to be honest, doesn't vary very much, right? Maybe between jurisdictions, US style, UK drafting styles can look different, but our language tend to be quite formulaic, so it's perfect for machines to help us with drafting. In fact, there are GPT, so it's a software based on GPT API, which has been sort of helping lawyers specifically in this area to varying degree of success. But ultimately, the slow progress turns on the policies adopted by different law firms as to the adoption of legal text. Confidentiality is obviously very important. Not only client confidentiality, but also law firms know-how. If you upload something onto ChatGPT, the ChatGPT is actually picking up, learning from your precedent, and you'll be spreading the benefit to other firms, right? How do we tackle that? We may have a private version of ChatGPT, which I think they've rolled out the enterprise version at different types. You can actually have a private sort of learning function there. So that's one area that can be monetized. But drafting, I personally think, is the area that large language models may relatively quickly innovate as one skill that lawyers must have. So putting a very sort of a numeric example, if we're drafting a document, I'll ask a junior lawyer to spend 10 hours coming up with a first draft. A senior lawyer will spend, say, 3 hours tweaking it. In the future, maybe the AI tool can spit out a document within 10 minutes, and a senior lawyer spend an hour and a half looking at it. So that's obviously, already slashed the cost by a large amount. So that's something, in terms of monetary value is potentially workable as well. But the problem is, we famously, lawyers charge by the hour, right? So if we work less, then we actually earn less theoretically. So it's counterintuitive, right? It's not in the interest of lawyers if we continue to adopt the hourly rate model. Maybe it's incentive for lawyers to innovate the business model altogether, maybe on more fixed fee solutions for clients. The other problem is, if my trainee does not do drafting anymore, but what about the trainings required of the junior lawyer, right? He or she will never get a piece to spend the time and put their head down to exercise their drafting skills, and they never get a chance to improve. In terms of review, it's actually quite difficult because you need to synthesize material and think logically to find a conclusion. That's something, as I mentioned, the GPT model is not specifically designed for deductive reasoning, so there might be issues there, which is quite difficult. And to be honest, it's the final sort of skill that lawyers tend to sort of safeguard and add value towards, right? Strategize, analyze, and review documents and give out view. So that's an area quite difficult as of now to be replaced by AI. So I mentioned confidentiality. So law firm policies about data privacy, confidentiality, regulatory compliance is actually sort of paramount. So if there is a data leak, such as Panama Papers, then the law firm is probably instantly blacklisted by the client. So I think law firms are naturally very risk averse towards the adoption of technology, because one failure can cost millions, if not billions, of pounds of money. So I think management of big law firms tend to be very cautious when it comes to that. Certain firms do not even use cloud applications at all. Everything has to be on premises deployed. So cloud, I think a lot of firms are embracing cloud, but slowly. So definitely some law firms are still against deploying any sort of cloud-based application. Thirdly, talking about suppliers, right? The actual suppliers of legal tech services, these are by and large startups in the scene. There are some bigger scale-ups or more established companies, but nowhere close to your Microsoft, Oracle, or Salesforce. So that talks about the scalability of the services, right? Because the legal service market is a relatively niche and fragmented market. If a local law firm on High Street does wills and probate, will be dealing with very different types of tasks. Say for example, compared to corporate practice in a cross-border international firm. So every firm in that sort of market does very different things. So it's kind of difficult for legal tech service providers to offer a very accurate solution or universally applicable solution to different firms. So some large and well-funded companies, maybe they're doing well. You might have heard of those names, HiQ, Kira, whether they're frequently used in law firms, depends on law firm, depends on jurisdiction. It really varies. So the big legal tech companies are actually the exception rather than the norm. So startups, smaller firms, smaller suppliers tend to be subject to ups and downs of VC valuations. Mediocre products but well-funded tend to develop a good market position, but sometimes you see very good solutions because of the lack of funding die out very slowly, and that's quite sad. It doesn't even reach the lawyers who actually are demanding for those solutions. So that's the reality on the supply side. Finally, if I still have a couple of minutes, Joseph, I'm going to talk about the business model of law firms, private practice especially. As I mentioned, a billable hour, right? That's the most well-known model for private practice law firms. Obviously I mentioned, if we do work more quickly, we actually earn less. So it's counterintuitive, but for so many years, for decades, I think people have been talking about innovating the business model, but it hasn't happened. There must be a reason, right? I think, put it very crudely, the reason is it's just too good, because it's a cost plus model, right? You have the labor cost of every single lawyer at different seniorities, and you just plus, X percent, then you charge the client. Cost plus, that's great. And partners get their annual distribution towards the end of the year, without much deferred payment, like, senior bankers or senior executives, where they have, share options, vesting schedule and everything. Lawyers don't. Law firm partner, you get cash done for the year. So it's very difficult to change that model because it's so good. For so many years, you have the big law in the US, right? Magic Circle in the UK and in Europe. You've only seen them, becoming more magical and bigger. You don't see them, retracting. So there must be something good about the model. However, the thing is, I have a 1,800 hours per year billable target. It's disincentive basically for me to spend time on things which may or may not work, right? So not to mention that, throughout your career, you need to focus on business development and client building. So it's actually very little time reserved for building technology yourself, even if you have the skills. So that's something quite limiting from the perspective of the business model adopted by law firms. So I thought I will stop here and see if we can proceed to the next topic.
Thank you, thank you, Jimmy. I think that you have touched on some of the very important points. What stops the development of LawTechs and or why the development of LawTech has slowed down. But sometimes, when I see some family members acting as a lead counsel in proceedings, I really hope that there are LawTech to help them, kind of to alleviate some of their burdens. So actually, they have more time for their children, for their families, over the weekend. But I can see, like the business model, the firms that are currently operating, maybe one of the reasons, but also I think more importantly is the confidentiality issues. A lot of LawTechs, ChatGPT alike, they are not previously enhanced technology, but more important, not just confidentiality, is the know-how. Lawyers, we have spent a lot of money and time, gaining our first class, second class degree, and also, investing in, for example, Raul and Alex and yourself as well. Cambridge and then Columbia and then Berkeley. It's quite a lot of investment in there, and therefore, there's that kind of expectation that that will pay back at some point. Yes, and I think that there's still quite a lot of issues we can talk about, and how LawTechs can not just helping law firms, but also helping researchers or judges in the judiciary in carrying out their work, and also the ordinary people. Ordinary people may also want to have access to LawTechs that can obtain some preliminary opinion, or helping them with kind of simple drafting. For example, perhaps not kind of high level drafting as you do at Clifford Chance, but for example, normal ordinary citizens that may want to use LawTech to draft, as a simple, sales agreement or, law and tenancy agreement. So on this note, I want to introduce Fran Eccles-Bech, who is the Chief Executive of Manchester Law Society. And I'm very glad that Fran is here. And I met Fran at a LawTech conference, and Fran was talking about, how Law Society, which is the largest, one of the largest law society in the UK, and then Fran is going to talk to us about, how law societies such as Manchester Law Society can support current and also future lawyers in adapting to the changing legal markets and legal environments because of technologies. Fran.
Thanks, Joe. That's great. Hello, everybody. Lovely to be with you today. I'm not a lawyer myself, although I have been at Manchester Law Society for 35 years. I obviously started when I was about 7. I was a child prodigy. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Manchester Law Society and the legal tech ecosystem in Manchester, which really is vibrant and diverse. We've got a really strong tradition of innovation and entrepreneurship in Manchester, dating back to the Industrial Revolution, I would say, and the birth of the modern computer, another first for Manchester. We're home to a world-class research centres, world-class universities and tech hubs, and they provide a really fertile ground for law tech development. We've got a really large and diverse legal market with over 300 law firms and 10,000 lawyers operating in the city, and we have a really supportive and collaborative law tech community with various initiatives and events that bring together all the law tech stakeholders. Our Manchester legal tech ecosystem is constantly evolving and expanding, and it really is offering new opportunities and challenges for lawyers and clients alike. And I think that we're well positioned to be at the forefront of this transformation, especially with our rich history and culture and talent. We really want to help create a space for lawyers, for technologists, for entrepreneurs and students to all collaborate and innovate on legal solutions. I think collaboration is the main word here. One of our recent events was a breakfast meeting where we held a networking event. It was AI, Is It the End of the World? Where we explored the impact of artificial intelligence on lawyers and the future of work. And we focused on the challenges witnessed today and also the potential implications for the future. While the title, AI is at the end of the world, might have sounded alarming, our objective was really to provide a balanced perspective on the topic and to shed light on both challenges and opportunities. We're also holding a full-day conference in March 2024, March the 8th. So if you want to come along, just get in touch. We're going to be covering AI now and in the future, AI as positive and negative impacts, AI, a view from another industry, AI ethics, regulation and risk, which is really, really important. And our keynote speech, we're delighted to say, is from the Master of the Roles, and he's going to be talking about AI transforming the work of lawyers and judges. So we also help and support our lawyers and the students as collaborating with the University of Manchester and their Law and Technology Initiative. We found it a really dynamic platform, and it's great because it's industry stakeholders, regulatory communities, and the academics at Manchester University. And as Joseph mentioned, where we actually met was at a LawTech UK conference, which is a government-backed initiative which supports and nurtures LawTech innovation in the UK. And we have a regional hub in Manchester where we organise programmes, events and reports to showcase and promote the local LawTech community. And then there's also our annual Manchester Law and Technology Conference. And that also brings together LawTech experts and practitioners and enthusiasts. And, you know, we hope that it's letting people know about the latest trends and challenges and opportunities. But despite the promising developments in Manchester, a survey of more than 650 solicitors found that less than a third use LawTech daily. And I think this highlights the need for continual efforts in promoting the adoption of LawTech in the legal community. Some firms are using it a lot, but there's also many, many firms out there who aren't really looking at it. I think quite a few firms are a bit scared of it, maybe. And even though the increasing impact of technology is a trend that has gained momentum over the past few years for both law firms and legal departments in a wide range of areas. The pandemic restricted most of us to work from home. I know we're post-pandemic now, but it really enabled a sector-wide adoption of digital processes and technologies. And in today's hybrid work environment, I think that this will continue and improve even further. Legal technology is now often a key factor in law firm selection by clients, and it's also a key factor in attracting new talent to firms. And I'm sure you already all know this, but firms in well, not just in Manchester, but definitely firms in Manchester. If you're speaking to my members, we have about 4,100 members, so we do have a large and a very active membership. And they're increasingly using and looking at many different areas: due diligence and research, document assembly and automation, project tools, digitizing the way they receive requests, knowledge management, all the usual things, e-billing, e-discovery. They're looking at technology to unlock new revenue streams, data entry, data research and validation. And they're also now looking at taking greater advantage of existing tools and using them more efficiently. For example, Microsoft's Office 365 suite and Copilot. Cybersecurity is a big area, obviously with an increasing number of technology solutions and more integrations and more people working from home. From a vast amount of locations and networks, there's increased cyber risks, and that's at the top of firms' minds going forward. They're also looking at automating creative processes, including writing, additional insights and shortcuts through analytics, and cloud computing and hosting. Now, AI has to feature in any legal tech stack, let's be honest. I mean, we've all been enthralled, I think, by the possibilities offered by AI and generative AI in particular. I mean, who isn't dazzled by the speed of delivery of ChatGPT? However, finding the truly best ways to harness its immense capabilities will take time, resources, and experimentation. And I know that many of our legal tech suppliers have considerable AI expertise already, and they've been quick to incorporate generative AI into their solutions while many law firms are still, I think, in the investigative mode. And in 2024, I think, as firms become familiar with AI's strengths and limitations, I think the excitement will shift to focus on very specific use cases. And from speaking to many of my members, the main areas that they'll be focusing on are document automation, data, client portals, Word drafting assistance, research, and Microsoft 365 Suite and Copilot. And we really feel here at Manchester Law Society that lawyers should be trained in understanding how technology works and should open their mindset to changing their way of looking at things. Continuing legal education for lawyers should involve some annual requirement for learning about technology, and we need to ensure that the next generation is equipped with skills traversing law and technology, which is paramount for law firms to complete in the digital age. We feel that legal tech and AI will not replace lawyers, but lawyers who use legal tech and AI will replace those who do not. And I was told I had to be quick, so there you go. That's my little two-penny.
Thank you, Fran. Thank you. And I hope look forward to collaborating with the Manchester Law Society to learn more use cases and lawyers' experience in using LawTech. I quite like the one of the talk that you organized. Is AI the end of the world? I quite like that title, but I just remember, more than 20 years ago, I had a privileged opportunity to be involved in a legal case, and that's basically, helping a semiconductor company raising capital. And at that time, I didn't know the semiconductor companies are important. They play a very important and critical role in powering AI, blockchain, and cloud computing. So, well, if we don't have semiconductor companies around, then we don't have all this problem with the AI and LawTechs and then cloud computing. So anyway, this is what I have done a while ago. So we still have a bit of time, and I'm glad that Ricardo Buondia is here with us. And Ricardo is a lecturer at the University of Manchester and specializing in labor law and competition law. So Ricardo may have some questions for the panelists, or I would like to invite Ricardo to even comment on some of the things said by our panelists and to share his views on this topic.
Well, thanks, Joseph. Hi, everyone. If you can hear some, children's songs, that's my son. I apologize for this. But thanks very much for this event. It's been quite interesting, quite inspiring. I'm a lecturer at the University of Manchester, work at the law department. My field is not specifically on the realm of cryptocurrencies. However, I am keen to discuss and learn about cryptocurrencies. So I guess my question, and thanks everybody for your presentations, quite interesting. But I guess my question is for Raul. If you can explain in a nutshell what are the main risks of an expansion of cryptocurrencies in society, it will be very informative. And I can't stop thinking as a labor lawyer, and just think what happens if workers get paid by cryptocurrencies, for example. What happens with stability of the labor markets, how workers will get paid if, I don't know, I'm just guessing, Ethereum is $10,000 and the next day is worth $5,000. It's just some general thoughts on this will be great. And of course, if anyone else wants to chip in, just be my guest. That'll be great. Thanks.
Yeah, volatility is one of the main problems of cryptocurrencies. Problems and for some it's a gift, it's people that invest and trade these things. But if you want to use them as a means of payment, you can use stablecoins that are pegged to a currency or to a commodity or a financial instrument. So in that regard, you can pay your workers with USDC or USDT or whatever stablecoin that you want. I think that the main issue is privacy, because this technology is meant to be private in its origins. So that's a big challenge for anti-money laundering regulations. How do you regulate something that it's made to be private? That's the main risk that I see right now. I don't know if I answered your question regarding.
Yeah, I mean it's a very difficult question. We're exploring in uncharted waters at the moment. So yeah, that's quite insightful. Thanks.
I also have one question for Jimmy, and so I mean you're speaking from a perspective of a lawyer from a global powerhouse, legal powerhouse, and you also had experience working in Asia, in the UK, and also in Australia. I think I mean, in your view, what do you think the factors that may cause the paradigm shift in terms of law firm adopting technologies? Is it a kind of a better kind of previously enhanced technology, or is it really changing the business model? Or I don't know, is it education? I mean, do we need to, for example, at the university, should we, and for example, collaborating with Fran to introduce more programs and courses to kind of educate more senior lawyers like yourself, but also for example the next generation of lawyers? What other factors do you think that may cause that paradigm shift, or maybe we don't need that paradigm shift in the legal market?
No, thank you, Joseph. Personally, I think we absolutely need a paradigm shift, but it's a matter of when. I absolutely agree with you. I think in terms of university legal training, education, and initiatives led by the Law Society, mentioned by Fran, these are absolutely important things, because law firms are all about people. So you will see definitely younger partners tend to be more open about legal technology. I've heard from a founder of a legal tech firm. He quit law, started his own legal tech startup, saying when he was a junior lawyer, he used Excel spreadsheet for coming up with a completion checklist, and the senior lawyer didn't know how to play with it and asked him to turn it into a Word document. So I think definitely education initiatives like that will be very, very helpful. But from my perspective, I will probably, for example, use the model of Porter's 5 forces, right? That's what you learn from a business degree. I mean, you have, threats from different angles, threats brought by new entrants into the market, competition within the existing market. You have threats from existing substitutes. Then you have the powers of suppliers and power of customers, right? These are the famous 5 forces advocated by Porter as change factors. So legal tech suppliers, right? Definitely, it's a new type of technology. It's new entrant, bringing threat to the industry. But as I mentioned, the scale of these companies is actually relatively small. A lot of companies back in 2000 during the internet bubble, there was this literature saying, there were lots of LawTech startups back then already, but none of them really survived the tech bubble. The crash of the tech bubble, rather, because a lot of the founders were not actually lawyers. They had tech background and saw some potential points in the B2C legal services market, but lacked the backing of ex-lawyers. But that's changed in a lot of the legal tech startups nowadays. You see founders as ex-lawyers. They tend to understand the market a little bit better. So if they can produce some really good mix of product mix, maybe partnering with other professional services firms, and we'll see increasingly so in a bit of Big Four, then we create a new threat to the incumbent big firms. That's point number 1, new entrants. Point number 2, power of customers. I think that's actually the most important thing, which may potentially cause a paradigm shift, because for law firms, clients are everything, literally. from that put it crudely, clients give you the revenue, and that's the only the asset other than lawyers that law firms have, right? So we've seen trends in the in-house corporate department, in-house corporate legal departments demanding for cheaper solutions. We don't always give discount. That's why they go to smarter softwares. So you're seeing sort of AI-empowered tools. You're seeing legal tech solutions being purchased actually by corporate companies, their in-house legal departments. They tend to be smaller organizations on their own, maybe 10 people for a medium-sized firm. If it's a global firm, you have like I don't know, 30, 40 lawyers for a region. It's already quite big. But compared to law firms, thousands of people, policy changes can be quite nimble. So they tend to purchase those solutions. Then when they demand actual legal services from lawyers, they may ask, oh, have you considered this? Have you used that? I'm using this. You're charging way more than 3 clicks. Then can you provide better services? When clients are making these requests, I think law firms will be under more pressure to change more rapidly, at least.
Thank you, Jimmy. And I have one question for Alex. Alex, you talked about the technology developed that can be used to measure the performance of corporate ESG and perhaps providing ratings or forecasts some of the corporate behaviors. I'm just thinking in terms of liability of the tech developers in that space. And we have seen, sometimes credit rating agency may be sued for, not providing the accurate or misleading information on the company's performance in terms of, the credit ratings. And also, I mean, in the UK and in Europe, you have rules and laws around benchmarks. So, benchmark manipulation is also an important topic here. So I think for tech developers, I think in the tech that you introduced, is a combination of legal knowledge, public data, and also algorithms. And, that will be, can be used by, I don't know, institutional investors, exchanges, companies to analyze, to forecast a company's ESG performance. What do you think from tech developers' perspective, the possible liability for, let's say, not providing an accurate picture of the market's performance on ESG or a particular company's performance on ESG?
Thank you, Joseph. I loved your question. Well, I'm pretty comfortable with these aspects, especially because, let's say, if you see all the methodologies and measures that we can have and forecasts that are available on the market, all of them are very inaccurate. Indeed, all the forecasts, of course, they have a margin to fail, of course. And the most famous example is the weather forecast. It could be wrong, right? I think that the difference here is that all this methodology and algorithms, they have not only a philosophical explanation, but also a mathematical explanation. And if you see all the risk, let's say, if you see the rating of a company or of a country, always you can find some intangible things that compounds these ratings. And in our case, I think that we managed to prove in a mathematical perspective that the risk could be lower or higher depending on certain conditions. That's why, let's say, the initial step of the project is to prove our theory in a statistical and also mathematical paper because let's say this reduces a lot any sort of margin for interpretation or whatever, or something like that. So that I think that's the beauty of the project. And we managed to compare this methodology with, let's say, we run a test that is very, very nice, that we, let's say, pick all the public trade companies that went to insolvency or bankruptcy events in the last 10 years. And our methodology managed to prove that is much, much, much more accurate than, let's say, the rating agencies or credit analysis or any other forecast that we can see in the market. So it's very straightforward. And also, I think that one last aspect that is important to comment on is that this methodology is also much easier to understand than, let's say, a regular rating of a company or a country that has that could have several measures and scales. If you pick for example, if you are analyzing a company in Latin America, you have the global scale, you have Latin scale, and they are different. You need to match one with the other. So our approach is much straightforward.
Thank you, Alex. I'm conscious with the time that we're running sort of 17 minutes late, and I think this is probably the good time for me to thank all the panelists here, and I would like to draw the panel to a close. And it's not the end of the webinar, because I'm going to hand it over to James, and for James to introduce the program, LLM program in International Commercial and Technology Law to our audience online. But also I would like to invite the panelists. If you so wish, you may stay, but I know we're all very busy. You all have the billable hours targets to meet. So if you really need to meet to leave the webinar, do feel free. So but then I would like to thank you again for your participation, and hopefully that we will have more opportunities to collaborate with you in research, also in teaching, or in creating impact in around law and technology. So thank you. And if I can invite the audience and to give a round of applause to our panelists, and thank you. And I would like to close to draw the panel to a close. Thank you very much. And now I hand it over to James to talk about the course.
Great, thank you, Joseph. Yeah, and thank you all to our panelists there for some great insights. So quick roundup of the course that we have at the University of Manchester for those that are interested. We have an online LLM. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about some of the topics that our panelists have talked about today, we offer an online LLM in international commercial and technology law. So this is a really pioneering course that you can do fully online. So wherever you are in the world, you can access this degree, this resources, University of Manchester, from where you're based. You can carry on in your employment and study at the same time as your work. So it's part-time online master's degree, and it takes 2 years to complete. We recommend around 15 to 20 hours of work per week. So you can do it alongside a full-time job or any other commitments that you have. Our next intake for this course is in January. So if you are interested in applying for this, do so as soon as you can, because you can start as soon as January. And we also offer an early application discount for the course. So if you apply before December 4th, you will qualify for that discount. There are also scholarships and bursaries available. for some students, and fees are paid in installments as well to help spread out the cost of that course. So if you're interested in learning more about the course, please do feel free to get in touch with me at studyonline@manchester.ac.uk. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions, and yeah, feel free to get in touch with me. Also, if we missed any of your questions that we talked about in the webinar today, you can also email them across to me and we'll try and get back to you about those. But I think we covered quite a lot of those with the general discussion there, so that was great. But yeah, get in touch with me at studyonline@manchester.ac.uk if you're interested in our online LLM, and look forward to hearing from you. I've put a quick poll out in the webinar, so you can also fill that in if you would like to arrange a consultation with me to learn more about this course. You can just click yes to that, and then I'll set that up and we can discuss further over a phone call or over a Zoom meeting. So yeah, that just about rounds up everything we've talked about today, and look forward to hearing from our attendees in the future. And yeah, thank you, Joseph. Thank you for all the panelists, and thank you for our attendees today joining us from all over the world. It's great to see. So we'll be in touch soon, and bye for now.
Thank you. Goodbye. Bye, everybody. Bye.